As opposed to last week, we went on Rio. It was Rival 9 galore, and those of you, including myself, who love that SMG CQB style gameplay was in absolute heaven. This Hyper is Karachi, and it favors both the MCW and the Rival 9, but only that Hyper if you know how to allocate your teammates and allocate the use of that said weapon effectively. So right off the bat, here we go. Off to the races they are, and onto the point. Cleveland Misfires will park themselves right away.
Yeah, and the first thing you want to do, and it's something that you pointed out to me very early on, is you want AC control. You want to get hold of that as quick as possible to get like oversight of everything. This is why we can see the Cleveland Misfires taking the southern control of that map. However, they do need to force that spawn flip, which is exactly what Rapid is trying to do here, trying to push himself into that cafe area and get the spawn flip to work. Doesn't look like it's worked just yet.
One thing's for sure too, Hyper, usually the P1s, we start things off, there's just bodies that drop and no real considerable time will go to any of the teams over at the side of the spectrum, but Cleveland Misfires, 41 seconds to their name, but nevertheless, like you said earlier, this is why rotations and winning those initial gunfights and engagements off rotation over to the next point, P2, is where New York SubPar has come to shine so far. 42 seconds and counting. You got cafe control, back cubby control, one coming from trash cans as well to pick up some trades in the process. It's looking really, really well for New York, and even the feed is reflecting that. All three off for the side of Cleveland, and they're left, well, scratching their heads to what initially was a fantastic start.
And now they've completely wiped out Cleveland. They now know where the spawns are coming in, so they're able to defend this a lot better and easier at that. And it's to the point, it looks like New York will be taking a near perfect hold on P2.
2 seconds.
Can see there's one attempt from Rapid on the Cleveland side. Try to get like a little foot in there, but no, they're just rotating over to the P3, getting that control over the back lot and the side lot. Make sure that they can lock that down, because if you get any control at the back, boom, you have it. There you go, 57 seconds, 3 seconds off a perfect hold.
We've been able to see the fact that New York is able to set themselves, as you say, Hyper, park the bus and keep the bus parked there without getting a ticket. And now the measure of whether or not Cleveland can reflect that same strategy will be put to test. 37 seconds and counting, and that's Jet over at the receiving end of the wave of yellow that is trying to make a break and to maintain that lead, but they're not able to. So far, Cleveland, like looking in a mirror for New York, has been able to adequately and sufficiently maintain this hold onto this P3 point, which is crucial. You know, when you have a near perfect hold from the New York SubPar, Cleveland Misfires being able to answer that and answer it effectively, well, it tells New York, look, there's a reason why we're so far undefeated and we have swept in our first map of this season.
A very small thing to note, look at Becky's position, player number 1 on the map. As soon as they saw that the backlot position was taken out, immediately stepped off point to defend that mark. That is great map knowledge and great communication amongst the Cleveland Misfires to say, hey, we don't have full control of these strong choke points. We need to defend it. So hats off and kudos to Becky for immediately not taking all the point time and in fact defending the spawns and defending the rotation. And in doing so, massive hold from Cleveland, and they've been able to rotate over to that P4 site, and now they just need to get rid of number 6's pick, done perfectly, and now they focus all the way down streets. However, New York did a brilliant job and a broken P4. They just now need to either flip the spawns to solidify P4, or maintain what they have, and they're probably maintaining 10 seconds left and going for Junkyard.
Oh yeah, Vinity, excuse me, that was a fantastic breakthrough. You did not want to allow those 22 seconds to go over to Cleveland Misfires. Once you get to that 100 point mark, it's not only daunting to see when New York would have been, I believe, at 50 at that point in time, but just a mental thing as well. When you got a team like Cleveland that's up by 50 points and you just see the triple digits on the board, it can for some teams be really, really discouraging. And speaking of discouraging, Mayday with that team nade, unfortunate at that. Able to make up for it with that headshot onto Jet as well, completely silencing him in the process, but that doesn't matter. From behind, the trade will go, and on to the point. Cleveland Misfires will try to secure themselves. But Pancho, come on, man. This is your time to shine, and he does it. Does it with class.
I remember Mayday from the previous season, and that's not the first time he's naded his own team teammate. So I think the streak of nades have continued into the new season. But nonetheless, this is a great hold from New York as they are fighting back and clawing back at Cleveland's little lead that they have. 10 seconds. This will be all tied up going up to P1. Cleveland not contesting here, and they're not going to. They want to get themselves positioned around P1. 2 seconds left. Yeah, no point New York keeping hold of that time. And you can see already Vinny going up north and trying to get that early spawn flip. And that is going to be interesting, and none of the Cleveland players have spotted this.
Nope, haven't spotted it at that, and from behind he comes. There goes the trophy system. The extracurriculars are going to ensue from the side. Rapid will try his hand at going through the flanks and getting them done, but the looks of it, it doesn't look like he'll make through the challenge. But Beaky will pick up the slack at that. There's 1 and 2. I'll pick up the 3rd. You're dirty dog, you can't do it. Pancho will stay secured onto the point, but not before Beaky will go out with a fighting chance of a successful retake. New York SubPar will take the lead. Reconcile will try his hand as well, but the yellow wave is much too strong. The currents are rising up right now, and Cleveland now are staring at a deficit, but out of that, roles are reversed. They're staring at a somewhat, looking to be, could be, fantastic P2 hold.
Yeah, and the roles are reversed. This was New York's pill last time round, and look at this. Cleveland locking this down. They've got Becky a bit more deeper into that back alley, and that will deny the initial push, and immediately someone getting behind dumpster gets fallen, and now this is going to allow a very open site for New York to jump in, and what was looking to be even trades throughout these sites, New York now are on the point, and this is a horrible position if you're Cleveland, because over the top goes Mayday. Mayday will fall, and now Cleveland have to go through the single alley to try and get themselves back on point. Brief second they're on, New York will take it back, and this is a horrible situation if you're Cleveland.
Let me tell you something, better pull out the NutriBullets and bananas and strawberries, because for quite some time now, Cleveland was in the blender. And even though they were able to get out for a couple of seconds here, subpar, they had one person sitting on a point. That's Vinity, anchoring himself down, securing those last few seconds of time, scraps at that, and Cleveland Misfires weren't able to really move much past those dumpsters. So again, fantastic job at New York SubPar using that map knowledge and mechanics to their advantage. Pick 6 is waiting at the perfect time to get that perfect kill, but Rapid, he might be an issue for New York. Hype, I don't even think he's noticed.
He's not noticed at all, and Rapid's done a good job here. Matter of fact, he was originally looking to get the spawn flip to kick in, but as soon as he realized his teammates were not spawning in to the area he wanted, immediately pushed onto point, took the player off, and now they've opened up the site for a very difficult situation because New York doesn't have back locked control, and they need to get control of it. Vinny's dropped in that position. He will find 1. Jet will fall. Now he's going to go for 2. No, Recon Elite says thank you very much, and Vinny will fall. And Pancho all alone on point. He has 1 close by of Mayday, but Mayday's a bit preoccupied, and now Cleveland have control of the site, and they will hold it down. Rapid will claim the scraps onto P3.
Yeah, I was just saying, it was actually ironic that we get to this point, because around this point, in last rotation, I was saying New York SubPar really needed to fight, go out strong, and not allow Cleveland Misfires to get those scraps. And now I'm saying it on the other side of the spectrum, Cleveland allowing that retake onto P3. New York SubPar was sitting at a comfortable lead for quite some time, so that retake from Cleveland Misfires is very, very telling. Telling that the fact that, number 1, they were put under pressure and they're able to get out of that pressure, retake that hill, and even move on over to the next point, take it for quite some time, but fall. Number 2, well, New York SubPar is able to get themselves back on, but Cleveland Misfires are still pretty darn well into it as New York stares down to that 200-point mark. Just under 51 seconds until they get this map win.
You have to remember, New York can't win it on this point. They have to get at 250, and with 13 seconds left, well, you can do the maths. That's not enough, but Cleveland already preempting the next rotation, and they're going to allow these scrap points. They know they still are in a bit of deficit here. They need to really go for a perfect hill here. And this isn't the first time that they've gone and done it. They nearly did that on P1. So now's the time they've got to lock down Junkyard. It's not easy, though, because the wide entrances to Junkyard make it hard to defend, and New York have burst right onto points. They are going to keep this game to their advantage. MWIII out for wide, finds Becky, can't get the second. Recon will take the kill, and Recon is going to be on point. Gets taken out by a nade, and it's going to be his own nade from Rapid, and this might have just handed New York the win.
Very much so, could do it, but Jet will say, not if I'm around. He'll try to invest the cruise missile. There goes a double kill. The opening has been made for Cleveland to get onto the point, but Poncho will be sitting from top right, I believe that was, and he'll try his heart out. MWIII will allow the empty point as a lure to get Rapid onto the point, take him out of the process, allow his teammate back to anchor down the point. 3 seconds left, 2 seconds left, 1 second, and it's 249. 169. The point is all up for grabs. New York SubPar. All they need to do is breathe onto the point, but Cleveland Misfires showing it to the world right now. They will not go out without a fight. Poncho will infiltrate. Try to get himself onto the point. Back to the respawns. New York goes. Cleveland now staring down a possible 200-point mark. And the hold is there. The positions are ready to be.
You need one good push is all New York needs to take this back. But I tell you what, Cleveland have locked it down, and they are not letting New York get that 1 second. And as we said, 1 second's all it needed. Pick going on to point. Will find one, and he takes down Recon League. That's the point they need. They find the burst, they find the kill, and New York finally gets it done. One push was all it took, and New York finally takes it home at 250.
I mean, to what honestly looked like could possibly be one of the greatest comebacks we'll ever see in the CRL.
Pull everything back like that and get to a point where you've pushed yourself into the 200. So absolutely the greatest thing you can do. But we're moving on, and we're moving on to the Invasion SND. I know it's not your favorite map for it because it's MCW long range galore. However, this is a test of your patience and your strategy that you bring in.
I'm honestly not a huge fan of this map, to be honest with you, Hyper, because it's pretty much MCW's galore, but nevertheless, here we are. It's on control. Excuse me, search and destroy. The number's wrong there. I was a little confused at what was going on there at that bus station, but looks to be that right off the bat, Cleveland Misfires will get themselves to a point where they're going to engage at A, and waiting on the other side is Jet. So if they're able to take him out and get that kill, go through those double doors, it should be in prime time for position to set up. But Rapid, he's going to be an issue later on if they can't make his presence known pretty quick.
Yeah, and they're going to get the bomb down quite nicely, so it's going to be Recon unable to get the kill. Poncho will find two, says thank you very much. 3v2, Poncho looking to get another, gives away his position, but the escapee, that will be of Becky, will keep alive for a moment. Jet going up to the bomb. Is there an opportunity? Still 27 seconds, a little bit of time to play with. Spotted the legs of Pick, and he will find Pick. And now he quickly dives away. 20 seconds left. He's got to start thinking about the bomb. His teammate comes in. Poncho, last alive to keep an eye on the bomb. Is he the god savior of them all? Finds one. Ducks out of the way.
No.
Is he finding two? No. But has he denied time? Defuse goes in. I think that was on 7. I don't think he has enough time on bomb.
You got it. You got it. 0.6 seconds. Jet is able to come through and get the successful defuse on. And in style, Cleveland Misfires will drop map 1. They were up 3-2. And somehow they lost that life advantage, even with the bomb down in the process. Poncho, gotta give him a little bit of credit though. Almost got that 2-piece to end with that turn on. Would have been fantastic, but no. Just wasn't enough. Jet was ready to go. Finger on the trigger. And on bomb, and the defuse goes in. So a strong start from the side of New York. Cleveland has showed promise on this map already, evident by last round. It's just connecting those dots that they seem to lack. So now, well, New York, the ball is in their court, and it seems to be like they'll be opting for that B strategy.
Let's go into the B side, where all the cover and the buildings are. It's more of the chosen site as well. So
yeah.
Take it slowly, take time, find your rhythm. It's immediately Rapid. Is gonna fall by MWIII. Thought he was going to get that first frag, but instead, no advantage to the Recon. He's going to peek out, not going to get the kills. Poncho will be the savior from across the map. And this has now put Cleveland in a massive advantage, 4v2.
4v2 at that. The player stack is on. Don't think from top Jet. They know that Jet's from that top ruins up there. But now they will. He's gonna go up steps, get challenged, and immediately shot in the face added up. From across the map, Vinity will be taken now. The pinch will go in, a little bit of a delay, but still, Cleveland Misfires will persist and answer to New York's round 1 win. It was from across the map where that damage was given from Vinity that allowed May to kind of sneak up right onto Jet, finish off that round. I honestly think he could have possibly pulled it off if he had a little more health.
Maybe indeed, but I think there's also gun problems as well. But nonetheless, Cleveland pressed up really nicely on that B, made sure to put New York in this sticky situation where they couldn't get out of the building, couldn't move around. So great presence, and they did take the risk pushing 3 onto that B site. But the roles are now going to be reversed. You can see again, 2 up north onto that B. Down in that mid, Becky's going to keep an eye on the mid, and down low, Jet defending the southern line. There's Pancho. Will find one and gets a trade out. So now it's all going to be even. I spoke too soon, as Rapid will find Pancho to trade it out again.
Trades after trades.
2v2. 2 for 2, and now it slows down.
It's like there's a buy one get one on that side of the map on that B bomb site, and everyone kind of scrambled. Buy a kill, you get killed. Basically, what was going on. But one of concern for New York right off the bat is that Mayday is getting close. He's still alive and is getting close to that cruise missile. You get to a point where you do it this early on, he's already going to get shots put into his skull. New York will deny the very thing that could have been a round loss and a free token for a round 1 for Cleveland. Not only did they finish off the round by killing the bomb carrier, but they also killed his hopes. His hopes of getting that 6-kill streak and the cruise missile in his back pocket. To you, ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to the CRL. Welcome back to Cleveland Misfires and New York SubPar. We apologize in advance for the technical difficulties that appeared on both sides of the spectrum, but we're back. And whether or not this is a map restart, I'm unsure of at this point in time. But one thing is for sure is that, okay, so I've just been told that is not a map restart. So the score reflectant from last round is the one that we're going to go into for this. So the scoreline is not super reflective of what's going to be, and we'll keep reminding you of that throughout the rest of the game. But one thing is for sure that I can tell you about is that trades galore in this alleyway, Hyper. It happened last game, and it's starting to happen again. It's been going back and forth and back and forth. It's insanity.
It shows the equality of both teams. They're able to find the pick, but they've got the buddy to come back them up, and that's the type of situation you want to be in, that you're trading left and right, especially if you're the one that peaks first. You get the trade instantaneously. So being down 3-2 now, if you're New York, this is not a great position to be in, because you don't have that man advantage, and you're going to have to push onto a 3-man hold. But have they got recon in their sights just a little bit north? Ooh. They have. Pancho will say thank you very much. Now it's down to Jet to keep things alive. And Cleveland says thank you very much and takes the round win.
Cleveland Misfires have picked up exactly where they left off and answering back to the New York SubPar. They make a move, like chess, make a move, make a counter move, and they make a move better at that, especially for this round. So New York SubPar now tasked to defend. See how they'll be able to do it. And Beaky, quick little shout out to him as well. He's actually a caster for the CRL. So we got one of our own in there representing today. No bias at that though. We still hold him to the same standards. Shots will be traded from across the map. Poncho will get a couple of, hey, don't run through mid-map. This is COD. Get a little bit of a reminder to his name. And New York SubPar, well, they'll opt to sort of sit in their back spawn until Cleveland Misfires, at least hopefully for them, will make a mistake.
So all you want it to be when the scoreline is tied 2-2. Yes, it is 2-2 right now, not 1-0. When the scoreline is tied, you want to find that little lead, and Mayday will say thank you very much. First blood, and in doing so, once again, another trade comes straight back, and Jet will find 2. Bomb down, but New York, they can recover this quite nicely. And New York finally getting, well, I say finally, they're getting the man advantage this time round. On that attacking side, just as when I spoke, Poncho brings it back to a 2-2.
Poncho brings it back, and he also brings the cruise that MWIII was so unfortunately able to get, hopefully in his name as well, in the running. But Jet sees Vinity from behind. He wasn't going to be super prideful and take those initial shots, but Poncho will take one. One to his name, onto the bomb. The bomb has been dropped. Nade has been placed. He's going to take a route and try to fool New York. But nevertheless, the element of surprise doesn't persist, and New York will again answer to the Cleveland Misfires. It's been back and forth in this series. And what do you know? It's the man that's usually at the desk, this time with the controller in hand, who'll close out that round.
And brilliant work. The fake on the bomb drew the player of Cleveland out, and in doing so, that meant that he could quickly peek up. He still has gun in hand instead of a bomb. And even on the side of Cleveland, what they did was done correctly. As soon as you see a player go down, the time's getting that low, go and peek it. Go and look at the bomb, because if they're planting, you've got yourself a free kill and easy round. However, just sneaky moves from New York as they will bring it 3-2.
Cleveland Misfires, they have the life advantage to their hand. Now, New York have seen this, recognized this, and they'll take this slowly, as Poncho will also be denied the cruise missile. MWIII with the bomb in hand will go ahead and opt for that A-bomb site. Hopefully for New York, are unable to do much. And at that, they're back down to the deficit. Rapid will trade some shots. They know he's red screen, but he'll take one. One down with him as well. Rapid is ready. Ready for the player to go through. The bomb has been picked up in the process. Cleveland Misfires with a successful challenge, but not without losing one of their own. 2v1 situation will ensue. Jet will be the last alive. The location is given for him. He has plenty of map to rotate around to possibly clutch up this game.
Yeah, and Jet just needs to take his time. He's got 28 seconds. Don't peek too much. So he's in a great position. Now back there's one. Now he knows where bomb is. He's going to be down. Jet just needs to stay alive a little bit longer. Let the red screen go away. Bomb will still not go down as the nade will go in and deny. Jet is doing everything he needs to here. Chucks every piece of utility and will get the win. Brilliant work from Jet. Playing with his food, playing with his opponent, and gets the win.
This is a good example of not swallowing your pride and playing time to his advantage. He knows that MWIII needed to get that bomb down and get it done quick. He'd get killed off at A. Double push will go through. New York will take one of their own. Cleveland will lose one at that. But the rotation will go through. Jet knows exactly where the rotation's going to go. And Cleveland, again, I'm a little questioning as to why they weren't really checking, and they both ran onto the point. 2 picks will go through on both sides of the spectrum. Cleveland will clutch up. But New York, like you said, playing with their food.
Jet now on a 3 streak as well. Are we going to see a cruise missile in this game, or are we just going to be deprived of score streaks? We had one in the hard point, but that was it. But Jet hitting the long shots as well, so the MCW skills are on fleek, as some would say. I might not ever quote that word ever again, but
please don't.
I'll tell you what I won't, don't you worry. I'll tell you what New York will quote is plant at A, as they do eye up that site quite nicely. No one really checking it. Actually, that's a lie. Poncho just waiting from the side as MWIII will find one. Now that will allow the rest of Cleveland to start to close in onto the point and start to get a bit more aggressive. Becky takes out Poncho. No roam is allowed. Vinity left alive. Bomb is down.
Look at Vinity.
He might look for a ninja defuse. He's going to go for it, but the peak comes out. Somehow he's still alive for just a bit longer, but it's not long enough, and New York will take the round. Map point to New York.
Wow. I mean, but honestly, there it is again. Beaky making all of us, the cast and producers, proud out of that. He checked the bomb site quite quickly after it was being planted, and that just goes to show how cautious and how serious that they're taking had shown on Search and Destroy. And now as we go into control on Karachi, yes, Cleveland had won this, but not without a fight with New York. So the fact that they were able to dominate on Search and Destroy and put up a hell of a good fight on a hardpoint makes Cleveland look almost like at a disadvantage when you go into control, where it's sort of both put together.
Yeah, and I tell you what, Cleveland not crumbling under the pressure off the get-go. There will be 3 of them down. 3 of them will fall, and in doing so, a response will come back, as they will take down the New York SubPar and get the whole of A completed. And that's a good start early in the round with 2 minutes 17 now to go and attack that hard and difficult cafe. But as I like to say, Karachi is the easiest to win attack out of the map pool.
100%. I honestly couldn't agree with you more out of that. Also, like a 1-2-3 round, or point, excuse me, for Cleveland Misfires. It's sort of allowing themselves to set at a point of confidence, maybe with their chests not puffed out too much because they are down in the lives, but at least they can sit comfortably knowing that they had just over 2 minutes to get themselves acclimated onto B, and Jet will be the last alive to try to stop the force of the boys in red from infiltrating onto the point. But has the time been bought quite enough? Well, Beaky will say yes, as he'll lead the charge, take off Vinny in the process, and Poncho, well, he'll sit on the point, taken out by Jet at that. So Mayday and Pick 6 will be the last two alive and leading the charge, trying to get Cleveland at least some meaningful time on to the points. And Mayday, well, he'll fall as well. So that being said, Cleveland lackluster at making themselves known onto that B point.
And Cleveland, well, you say lackluster, they've got themselves onto points, so they were able to eventually break New York, push them off. You've only got Vinny on point, so not comfortable yet to go for the stack as New York are spawning right back in, and in doing so, they're getting a nice contest. Poncho left alone with Vinny as well, so 2 on point. That clock is going to start to go a little bit quicker, but New York, they're going to go through the blender route. That's going to be through the dumpster, and are they in the dumpster? They are, because they couldn't get over, and Cleveland makes a very good round and a very good success for round 1.
Cleveland makes a very good success. Yes, I guess you could say we're getting on the point, helping with the stats, but in my opinion, Hyper, I think that whole last 10 seconds of the round was all Poncho. Got a 3-piece onto the point and off the point as well. And then at that, takes out his NutriBullet, turns it on, and puts New York through the blender. He'll be sitting comfortably at a 7 streak with a cruise missile in his back pocket. It's very rare that you'll see a play like that being committed onto that B site. We got 3 off single-handedly with an MCW held tightly in hand. Never mind being at a streak of 7, at the verge of making it a 10. Cleveland Misfires have fallen pretty darn hard in that search and destroy, but they have woken up. And the man that is turning off the alarm is Poncho.
Poncho still going 8 streak at the moment, so still keeping everything smooth. And I tell you what, Cleveland, great first wave because they've won that fight, pushed New York completely off, and in doing so, New York are weighing up their options here. They're saying to themselves, hey, that A site is ridiculously hard. We can try a wrap in, and it's not going to work through the buildings because now they're going to look for that open B site. So this might be a different strategy. They can capture B. This will be a lot easier to attack A, but Recon Elite left alone, and a solo cap never works, especially when the rest of your team's nowhere near you.
I mean, New York has failed to get, well, there goes the time on to A, but the question is, will Pick 6 be able to be the man that erases it immediately? There goes the first tick, but out of that, at what cost from fire? Pick 6 will bury his shots onto the point. New York, they've been able to get 1 tick out of that, but around this time last round, Cleveland Misfires were staring down at that B site and looking at it nicely, appealable to them. Now New York still have to worry about getting that A site. And all quiet will ensue on the Western Front pretty darn soon, as New York will get that time right back to going.
New York 100% want to commit now to this A site. They want to get it done, get that extra time, put it to a minute 30, and it's exactly what they're going to do. Because what they can do now, they understand how Cleveland have been defending B off the get-go, so they've got a bit of weighing up here. And in doing so, Becky getting a little cheeky at the rear of the spawns, trying to see if they can push the spawns more south, but unable to hit the shots. So Becky keeping that lurking and roaming going. There's the successful kill. And now Becky needs to quickly push up, and the spawns will be a bit more south even further. No, it's not. And thankfully, Pick will stay a bit further north and able to come right back into this fight.
Able to get A, but at what cost? And the question is, well, the lives. At least you said earlier, yeah, Beaky will get the ball rolling for the boys in yellow as they try their heart out with 45 seconds to get on that B bomb site, that B cap site, excuse me. But well, distribution of white all over the map just seems to be overbearing at this point in time for New York. Now evident by the feed, 3 off. And now the last alive technically on this respawn will be Recon Elite left to lead the charge, and he gets taken out into the process. Now Cleveland has gotten confident with 20 seconds and counting. MWIII will try his heart out at anchoring spawns out of that, but push through top and bottom red is New York with 7 lives left. They have one more good push, hopefully, in their back pocket, but MWIII will come through bending and say, no, 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 your place. Don't ever turn your back on the Cleveland Misfires. But Recon will slip right through the radar and try his hard at getting onto the point. Infiltration has been made. 3 lives left to go. Cleveland, all they have to do is spray and pray, and they'll take home round number 2. And now New York looking to be the very ones who might just be in that sweep on control.
The thing with Cafe, there is multiple ways to enter that site, but if you can just position yourself in 3 great places, you cover all entrances brilliantly. One nearby just the edge of the cafe, at the back side of it, covers the angle that comes across to the lower lower red. It covers also into short. And then if you have someone near to on the side, you then get inside the office, and I believe you have one inside cafe. Again, you're covering short, long, and all the positions in turn. So brilliant! Those 3 positions are fantastic. And then they've sent one further up. They sent MWIII to push into Junkyard, and that really slowed down New York. And they couldn't push onto site quick enough. And when they did, they hesitated, they questioned every corner they peeked, and hey, Cleveland got that done quickly. I tell you, being done quickly. Here's 1, 2, 3. That's a point secured and done and dusted.
1, 2, 3, eyes on me is what Cleveland will say as they get themselves right onto A, and New York will struggle out of that. They've dropped some lives in Cleveland. Ooh, they were sitting at 30 even with that A cap. It's definitely not a good sign at that. And MWIII, well, he's going to reflect on what Poncho was doing earlier on in round number 1. He'll be going on an H streak at that, and I don't believe it has been used yet, Hyper. Yep, the cruise missile is in. Well, is it in? I think he was just killed. I think I actually, yeah, I guess we got canceled out there, but Poncho, I think, still has that cruise missile in his back pocket, if I'm not mistaken. So the domination right now from Cleveland is so evident at that, and even the fact that New York is able to get that 3-piece done and over with, make it 4 now, still have a long road for them to travel on, because they got 2 cruise missiles over at Cleveland. And right now, Poncho, well, he's looking to be a dangerous man, 22 and 9, slipping through cracks, crevices, and will try taking control of top red and putting this to bed.
Tried to push further forward for New York, try and collect the spawn traps. Didn't work all too well. Now pushed on that back foot. Sight opened up a bit more as more and more players will fall for New York, and it's down to Becky, who's actually on site. You can see jets covering inside the buildings. And they will have another breath of life, as New York will be able to bring reinforcements in and not be wiped. But MWIII bringing in the cruise missile, try and gather the information. No successful kill will come off it. But Vinny has pushed right onto the point, so now he can start to establish himself, establish some position. But as soon as he steps on, what does Rapid do? Onto point immediately. To be alive, to be the anchor of the point. Somehow able to keep his head for a good few seconds. But Vinny stays alive on point. Left alone on point, jumps out, but Becky says no.
Beaky, you dirty dog with that 3-piece. With the Renetti, whipped it out and said, whoa, slow down there, partner. I want to make this a little closer than it already is, and Rapid and Recon will pick up the slack out of that. Divinity and MWIII will be left to lead the charge for Cleveland and allow them hopefully to complete this sweep onto control, but Divinity has been able to answer himself. I was going to say it wasn't able to, but there he goes, 1 and 2. The second one was a headshot. It must be sitting quite slicey onto the point. Now Cleveland even have the lives to their advantage now, 11 seconds left. Big Six will try to put New York into the blender, but they've been able to seep right through and not get juiced up just yet. New York will go through, make the contest, and K-Jet will take care of business. With 8 seconds left, it's up to MWIII to make the time stop and the point to progress. And Finch might very well just go through. There it is. Pick 6 will pick up the slack at that. And a 3 off will ensue. 4 off now at that point, and there goes a round for New York.
It was all too close. 4 lives remaining on both sides. New York did not give in. Kept throwing body after body after body onto that side. Strategy was thrown out the window for both sides. No one was necessarily looking to say who can get what angle and who can defend where. It very much was chuck your bodies, time's running low. Let's make sure we're either contesting or we're getting the point. And it ended up New York just having that upper edge in that on those fights, keeping themselves a bit alive. And now they've got to attack to keep themselves in this game.
You always say, Hyper, that when you give a team a little, you take a lot, and a lot turns into something that you wish you had closed down, you wish had made better decisions earlier on. Right now, New York is doing just that. A 1-2-3 cap onto A will put them in a primal position with over 2 minutes, 26 lives to throw at B to bring this map back into their favor. But Cleveland will say not so fast and stop that progress, that rotation from being made over onto B.
I love how MWIII is pushing right into their spawns, clearing it all out, and in doing so, that's meant Cleveland have been able to understand where New York is in its entirety. And guess what? MWIII's pushing into spawns once again, so Cleveland do not want to give an inch of space away, and MWIII on that 5 streak will finally get killed off. No cruise missile in the back pocket. However, Recon Elite, there's some good information here. He's on point. He can now give that intel to understand where the Cleveland are. Hops onto point, now going to draw some attention away, get players away from spawn trapping the New York side. He's still alive, he's still going. He's not going to be there for much longer, but now the doors are open. New York have a foot to try and attack.
Yeah, they have a foot out of that, but not many lives to give at this point in time. 24 to 14 responses, like you said, Hyper, were absolutely lethal, literally, towards New York and sort of damaging all of that hope, all of that push, and that spark that lit inside of them once they got to that A point. You got to wonder, too, if that opt to sort of jump on the point alone and try to be the hero in that situation was the right decision to be made, but one can only wonder what would happen. We are still now into the present, and Beaky in the present will get a nice headshot to get things going. In my opinion, Hyper, I think New York has one more good push left to give till the end of this round is through. But MWIII, again, doing what Cleveland has been doing this entire round, getting right behind the backs of New York. And the streaks will go through, but no cruise missile left to invest. A little bit of a breath of fresh air, about 21 seconds in counting. The time is ticking, and K-Jet, well, he'll try his heart out going from behind. He'll fail out of that, as the last cruise missile has been invested.
2 people on point for New York, now down to 1, so there is an opportunity. Beaky has found himself in a great position. There's
Beaky.
1, he will fall. He does actually get the second, so traded out for the very last second. Progression is still going. This is the breath of hope. 3 on point, down to 2, now being contested by Pick. Pick will find 1, trying to get out with his life, but in doing so, reinforcements again coming in from New York. Beaky staying alive. He jumps off point, gonna allow the second progression to go through. 2 lives remaining. There is a dream, there is a hope. Down to 1, Jet left on point. Cleveland will take it, and the dream from New York still is up in the air, and they won't take the second map.
Again, like I said earlier, I mean, for this map, we were expecting Cleveland to sort of, dissipate a little bit as New York was coming out dominant off that search. But, well, we can speculate here and yap for a couple of minutes. But here we go. Here we are right now into map number 4, New York SubPar, Cleveland Misfires. On to Rio. These go off to the races as a New York SubPar will get themselves acclimated out of the point, but extracurriculars will ensue from the side of Cleveland, and there it goes. A blink of an eye, all 4 will be off, and New York SubPar left scratching their heads as they retry to infiltrate onto the point. The contest is there, but again, Cleveland Misfires will persist in allowing themselves control not only of this point, but of those P2 spawns, which are crucial to keeping the tide in their favor.
Yeah, and the Cleveland need to hold on to these spawns, not allow people like Rapid to come around, and that's exactly what Vinny will do and will continue to do up on the bridge. No one's going to wrap round because you don't want to be attacked from the northeast side of this map. You don't want any attacks coming from north. You want to make sure they stay going through ramp, because it's one small channel and you can very easily burst in if you get spawn flipped.
Cleveland, speaking of bursting in, Cleveland has done exactly that so far in this map. 4 and 5. They were actually, I believe, all 4 of them had a streak at one point in time, but Poncho and Infinity will keep theirs. There goes the cruise missile for Poncho, already starting off strong. Arguably the MVP so far of this series. He'll get a 7 onto that. 2 seconds to his name, but it doesn't matter. He's absolutely doing a fantastic, phenomenal job at soaking up kills. Infinity there with the reinforcements is doing a phenomenal job as well. I mean, all white into the feed. Cleveland Misfires. Could you ever ask for a better start? Infinity needs one more for cruise missile onto that, and New York, well, kind of cringing at the fact that they're even struggling to get a kill onto the board for some of these players.
It's a horrible situation if you're New York, but you've positioned yourself a little bit better now on P3. They've got the team around the outside. They don't have north control though, so we're going to see Vinity push right in. He's got a cruise missile in his pocket as well, but Jet keeps it alive, and there, finally, the feed will turn yellow, and New York gets a wave that they need, and they continue to bring the wave. So hope is back into the New York side, and they will finally get to relax just for a brief moment. But if you're Recon Elite, that hole didn't work out too well. Infinity will find 2, and the break has just been committed.
I mean, the break has been squashed completely as Cleveland Misfires take that. Got slapped in the face there and kind of completely slapped New York right back, but this time a little bit harder as they will sit comfortably at that lead. Infinity would go on a little bit of a 5 streak before he'll be taking 11 and 2 if that scoreline is reflected. Wouldn't be surprised if it is to his name. And now Jet will be the last alive, or the only one alive at this point in time until reinforcements can go through onto that garage point. Nades are hidden, going on both sides. New York, I really think you got to hold on to this point and get crucial time onto the point if you want to answer back to what Cleveland has been doing so far in this game.
And in doing so, they are going to listen to you quite nicely. You can see Rapid playing up nearby the boxes, finding some great positioning, but Jet is coming alive. There's 5 streak on his side. He just needs one more, and he will have a cruise in his back pocket. And they'll make it 3 cruises on the map. 2 for Cleveland, 1 for New York, but there still needs to be one more kill. Rapid, 2 away. Beaky, 3 away. So there's streaks happening for New York, and you can see Cleveland, they're backing away from this. Beaky won't be able to be successful, will fall, and in doing so, the rotation from Cleveland, they're not fighting this. They've allowed New York to come right into the game.
New York has done exactly that with a fantastic hold and a near perfect hold out of that, and a comeback. Now New York has taken the lead. What seemed to be a domination from Cleveland Misfires in those first 2 points has now turned into all yellow, into the feed, onto the point, onto that time. But now we move on over to that bridge hard point, and well, ladies and gentlemen, this will be a testament to see who can persist, who can win those gunfights at those true trucks. And Mayday will be the man to do it, as Rapid will get themselves, trying to get themselves documented onto the point. He's not able to. Cleveland persist on holding this point.
I'll tell you what, Jet was able to just get the cruise missile in his back pocket, so that means that Vinity, Poncho, and Jet all have cruise missiles, and they're going to be saving these. They're not going to commit to any cruise missiles just yet. If you're Cleveland, you can throw one early if you want to. I highly doubt it with the way these guys are playing, as Poncho says thank you with 2. That was lovely. And he will push himself right onto P1 once again, and with no scrap time given away, well, this is quite a fairly even game. A little lead for Cleveland, but New York came right back.
They came right back out of that, but question is, how far back can they come? Because, well, Cleveland, they got themselves right onto the point, and they're winning these gunfights right now, and spawns out of that. So in order for New York to keep this momentum going, they're going to need to win spawns and hold themselves onto the point, and Pick 6, while doing his job, certainly is not going to help. Nevertheless, though, Rapid will persist, sitting himself quite nicely onto the point with no real sign of being challenged except for Vinity. Try to throw himself on, hold himself to the contest, shoot the dead body because he's so darn keen on his sights. But eventually from behind will be Jet from Vending to end all of this mayhem. New York will come right back, have a little bit of a lead over Cleveland over the next point.
I told you the early cruise missile may come in. You can see Pancho, he's called with his team. He knows that the cruise missile needs to come in to deny the rotation. It will hit its mark, and in doing so, you can see up north, Mayday and Pick going for the wide wrap, trying to switch the spawns, has been successful. So Cleveland getting good control at the hot dog stand. Maybe have a bite, have a little break, and have something to eat because New York are coming in, and up north as well. Recon going and doing the recon work, and possibly an easy pathway as well. I don't think any of the Cleveland side is going to see this at all, and if Recon plays his cards right, he's going to come and burst in. There's one, there's two, and he's given a breath of hope for New York, but none of the New York team were alive to capitalize on that opportunity.
Nope, they certainly weren't. It didn't really seem that anyone over the side of New York was hungry except for Recon, because he did try his heart out and he was able to get 2 off, but the question, the truth of the matter is that Cleveland already was staring down about 20-25 seconds left of scrap. By the time that play was made, New York was, like you said, wasn't really spawned in, wasn't able to get there, and again, 20 seconds or so certainly wasn't really much to die for out of that. So they're going to try to rotate on over to the next point, but Cleveland Misfires will meet them with their MCWs held on tight. And a game of cat and mouse will ensue, extracurriculars from Mayday and trying to win those spawns right back, but trades, both sides of the spectrum, bodies will continue to stack onto the point with no real control being shown. It's like basically starting off 0-0 with that P1, and New York, well, they'll have spawns to their name, so hopefully for them, they can use those spawns to their advantage and get themselves right back onto the point and deny Cleveland getting themselves to that 200-point mark.
Yeah, but those spawns are so powerful because it's easier to push in. Many doors, many windows that go into your favor, and you can see how quickly New York bursts onto the site. But if your Vinity is going to make it just a little bit harder, scraps going in favor of New York, and already Cleveland are saying, you know what, fine, take the last 6 seconds, that's all yours. We're already close to the 200, and we're getting ready at Garage. And they're set up, prepped, ready, but not looking behind them, because again, another wrap round coming in, coming for the top. He will find one, and in doing so, there's been good pressure for New York, but they just can't commit to it all.
No, they certainly cannot commit at all, and it's sort of been a common theme from both sides of the spectrum, especially for New York. I mean, you got one player to start something, get the ball rolling, but the rest of them aren't there to answer to that. So Beaky will take his own teammate and take out pick 6 out of that. Now 27 seconds and counting. Cleveland cannot win onto this point, but they can get pretty darn close to. And New York really cannot leave any room for any more real time to be given, as Vinity will sit right onto his stomach, take out one for New York, another dagger to the back of the boys in yellow, but they'll win those scraps. And at this point in time, I'd love to hear these comms because I know pretty darn well what they're going to be saying, and that's rotate, rotate, rotate right onto the new, because like I said earlier, Hyper, Cleveland only needs just a couple of seconds left on the time to take home this map and complete the series at that. New York cannot allow that to happen.
The feeling of deja vu for New York. They did bring a hold in. Last time it was at 249. Cruise going in. Great success and great use for the Cruise. 2 for Jet. And that's going to be major. But if you're Mayday, you're going to keep yourself alive. Second Cruise coming in, this time from Cleveland, to deny the push, deny any presence. It's going to hit 2. 1 for Beaky, 1 for Pancho. And still, Cleveland have point pushed off. Now New York will start to claw that gap. Make the comeback that they need. They're going to take the 20 seconds, and you can see Cleveland, they're not necessarily going to push this. They're going to set up for P1. Go for that third rotation and claim it on P1. But they're coming with a fight, New York. They're not done, and they're going to go to the bitter end.
Yeah, they are certainly going to the bitter end at that. And the convenience for New York here is that P5 going to the P1 is quite literally right down a corridor, and New York will get set up at that. But from behind, here's pick 6. He's trying his hard as well and doing the same thing, employing the same strategy from behind that New York just so faintly was doing in the last few rotations. But nevertheless, New York is persisting, and although they cannot win onto this point, they can get themselves right back into the game against the Cleveland Misfires. All Cleveland has to do is get 10 seconds onto the point. There goes the contest. Headshots are through. Infinity will find one. Pick6 will try again as well to go through the back, but he's caught right from behind. New York is keen on those flanks. They've learned from their mistakes, but the question is whether or not if they can get these P2 spawns in their favor, because right now they're looking to be like it's for Cleveland, and there goes the beginning engagements to get the ball rolling.
Yeah, New York have basically claimed P1, and Cleveland have gone, you know what? Fine, take it. We're going to take P2 and finish it here. So if you're New York now, you've got to have one person on scrap. 3 of them going for the new point, and they are going to commit to it. They're going to try and wrap around from the back alley. But now, Cleveland on point. They've locked it down. It's one last dying attempt. If you are from New York, you've got to chuck every piece of utility. 2 seconds left on point. Nothing they can do. Cleveland will take it by a margin. And what a comeback once again from New York to try and stop the force, but it won't be enough. That's game, set, and match.
The problem is for New York is it just takes them a little too long to wake up.